In a segment produced by senior Sarah O'Gara, we head behind the lanes of River City Recreation with Mr. Bill Vukovich to learn more about the inner workings of a bowling alley.
I'm Bill Vukovich with River City Recreation, the proprietor here, and I want to welcome the EVSC Community Link. They're here to shoot some behind-the-scenes footage of what goes on in a bowling center. Usually as a customer, you come in, you see the counter here, get your balls and look out on, or bowl out on the lanes, but there's a lot of other things that go on in a bowling center. Well, what we do is when we get them back in after the customer uses them, they hand them back to us. We make sure they're untied, check the bottom so there's nothing on them, and then we have a sanitizing spray that we spray down in the toe of each shoe to make sure they're good and sanitized. And that's basically what we do. Bowling shoes have leather on both sides so you could slide. Most open bowlers don't have their own shoes. If you go skating, you'd need skates, so bowling shoes, even though your tennis shoes can walk on the approaches, they're going to be a little sticky and there's a chance you may fall down, plus have some debris from outside, whether it's a rock in your tennis shoe or gum or tar or something like that. So the bowling shoes are, like I said, maintained. Every center checks the bottoms, make sure they're good and clean each time they go out. Usually if it's not used a ton, the popular sizes you might get a year or 2 years out of. The other ones you may go a little over 2 years. It's all depend on what size and how people treat them. All right, now that you learned a little bit about what goes on here at the counter, basically handing out the shoes and how we take care of them, a lot of people don't realize the maintenance that's required on the lane itself as far as putting oil down and how that's done. A lot of open bowlers will say we need to get, there's too much wax or not enough wax. It's not wax, it's an oil, and I'll show you how the lane machine strips it. We do that every day, clean the lanes, and then run new oil down. So if you'll follow me. Okay, years ago, you did all these steps separately. This here is Lionel duster cloth, okay, and we still do them every day manually with the Lionel duster cloth to get the majority of the dust off the lane, because when you have a big open area like this, you have a lot of dust settling down. Years ago, you would Lionel dust them with this, then you come back with a spray cleaner, which looked like a bug sprayer, spray them and buff them clean, get the oil off, and then put new oil on. Obviously, with all that work, you didn't strip them every day. You might strip them once, twice a week, all right? Nowadays, with the modern technology, every time you run them, you could strip them, and then you got the same exact shot put across the lane. Now, this particular machine, you've got 4 spray nozzles up here that's to jet the solution, the cleaning solution out. Then you have your roller right here. What it does is cleans the solution up as it goes. This right here is the vacuum system. It's a squeegee, and it squeegees right behind it. So it starts here, here, and then the oiling is actually done on the back end. Now this particular machine, and most of the ones out there now, will do everything in one pass up and down the lanes. So as it goes down, it's cleaning, and right behind it, it's oiling. On the way back, it's already been cleaned, so it's just adding extra oil as you come back up the lane. AMF machines have 3 motors that run different parts of the machine, and a chassis, which is the brains of the machine. And it tells each motor when to coincide with the other, and when to kick in, when to kick out. Over here you've got the table motor. There are 3 finger cam switches. You got your sweep motor here that also has 3 finger cam switches. The cams are different circumferences, and they kick in at different points to let the machine know when to go into different steps. Okay, so here's what happens when well, you can cycle them from up front, or if a ball goes by, it breaks the camera there. Sweep will come down, table comes down, fills for pins. Notice that there's no pins there, and then it'll set a full rack. And that's basically what you see from the front without all this machinery working. Once again, the sweep comes down, table fills for pin, and the fingers close together and resets the 7. That's a 7 pin there. Once the ball goes through, if it did, and you missed it on your second shot, and it sets a full rack for the next person. All right, as promised, now we're in the back of the machine here. What we have, this is a pinwheel. Once the pins are knocked in, it brings it to the distributor. The distributor puts it in the shuttle, and then when it's time, the shuttle will drop it into the table, and you'll get to see what you saw from up front with the pins being spot. Bowling alleys were in the 40s and 50s and 60s when bowling took its boom, but then in the 70s, late 70s and early 80s, they started to be called bowling centers and recreation centers. More family-oriented rather than just dark, smoky places where guys just hung out. Teens and families came out, and so they wanted to change the image a little bit, so we went from alleys to bowling centers or recreation centers. I've been jumping around these things since I was a freshman in high school.
Our next segment